All right. So, what was I going to say? Today, okay, look, for weeks now, I have been doing the Ruth Bible study, and um, it's been unfair as far as I am concerned. It's been unfair because it's just me doing all this talking, me doing all this thinking, sharing my thoughts, and really nobody else to
jumping in.
Yeah, nobody else to chime in and provide their feedback or whatever. And I think that's unfair when I dominate to that degree. I don't like that kind of domination, but it's kind of hard when you're the only one doing it. But Deb has been joining in on some of them, But for the most part, it's just me, and but that's okay. That's okay. Um, that's one type of format I can understand, but today's format is going to be a bit different. I don't know. Hey, Deb, what did you tell them they were going to be in for today?
I just told them that they were, well, this is before I knew you were going live today. I thought you were going to do the video for Friday and then discuss it today. So I told them that it's just going to be a live discussion.
I'm not live, by the way. I didn't do it because, like I said, it was going to take too much to reconfigure the settings in order to do it. And so, okay, I didn't know I didn't know how you prepare the girl. We always affectionately call you guys the girls. But I told you before what this was about me. Okay, what my new format was going to be was do the chapters and then have a Bible study to where okay, so we did Ruth, right? We did 4 chapters of Ruth complete. We're finished. But there's a lot of stuff that I said in Ruth, all right, that I did not touch on. There's a bunch of laws that Ruth addresses and that sheds light on a lot of different things as far as for those who want to live as close to the law as possible, which is impossible. All right. I believe that this could be a perfect example of how to live, especially when you understand the law, because there's a lot of laws that many people have no idea are laws, right? And so that's where I come in. And that's where this Bible study comes in, because basically we go back over what we covered, like in Ruth chapter 1. There's a bunch of laws, all right? There's a bunch all throughout this book. And I think that because people don't realize that, they really can't appreciate his book the way I do. I'm not saying I'm perfect in the way I appreciate the book. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying because I am aware of the laws, it brings another level or dimension of appreciation for. And so basically what we're going to do today is cover those laws. So either one of you, if that ain't what you came to do, if that doesn't interest you, you're free. Right? But otherwise, I'm going to get with this. And if you stick around, be prepared to participate, because I've gone Lone Ranger over these 4 chapters the whole time, right? So trust me, I'm looking for some interaction. It's kind of lonely. It's kind of lonely over here. Okay. Materials. All right. Materials needed. Your favorite Bible. This is where you get to use your Bible, not my Septuagint. Okay. Or if you think it will be faster, or I know it will be faster, if you have your favorite website that you like to do searches on, that'll be a benefit.
Okay.
Okay. And Deb, be prepared. Be prepared. Now, my other style of Bible study, I'm okay with that being a spectator sport, you know. But this show, I think. All right. So anyway, let me get ready. Let me see. Today there is no audio book. Let's give it that guy. Yeah. I'm using Blue Letter Bible. I don't know if anybody else. I got some software that's designed for this, but I don't know it that well. I always find myself going right back to Blue Letter Bible because the other software is so hard and complex. I'm like, I want to just get this over and done with quick. I ain't trying to deal with a learning curve. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let me close that. I just want my pages together. Okay. All right. Allow me to. Is that it? Oh my goodness. I move this down. All right. I'm going to take the time out to bless the Torah reading. I'll say it again. It's customary to recite a blessing before engaging in Talmud Torah, the study of the Torah. In the following blessing, note that the word lausuk means to engage or to immerse oneself. It comes from the Hebrew root. I don't know why that was so hard to say. Hebrew root, which means busy. This blessing then is about busying ourselves with the study of the Torah, taking heed of God's instructions for our lives. All right, perfect. And I will wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. And oh yeah. Let me say something. I'll be right back.
Day, I missed you.
I missed you too.
I said, where's my girl?
I've been.
Oh no, I gotta check on her.
I've been chilling.
Oh, okay. Oh, Wendell didn't scare you or anything, did he?
Wendell did what now?
I was talking to Side.
What happened?
I said he didn't frighten you, did he?
No.
Okay.
I'm not here to scare anybody, but here we go. Oh my God, I'm always lightheaded enough to do that. All right, may the Shabbat commence. Baruch Atah Yahweh Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Asher Kadishanu B'mitzvotahu Watsuanu Lausuk Bedivre Torah. I said that slow in case anybody wanted to follow. Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's get on with the. You wait a minute. Hey, Deb, did you download the file?
No, I was trying to.
You know what? There's a way to. Share files here. I just don't know how to do it yet. They've changed some of their features. Okay. They've changed some of their features. But take the time if you be so kind to go to the chat room. I mean, not the chat room, but the group. And there you will find the file in the file section called Ruth Bible Study PDF. Okay. That's tantamount to doing this because it has all the necessary scriptures and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Okay. Makes me wish, hey, I'm gonna tell you something. I actually have some background music for Bible study that I have not been able to play yet, but I've been wanting to play since day one.
Play it. Play it. I also thought you were going to invite Sade and I to read the English portion of the prayer.
Oh, hey, you're right. Okay, I'm so sorry. Go right in. Okay, let me bring it back up. Look, my mind is scatterbrained today. I have no idea. Oh, you're so right. Okay, let me go back. Good
Sade,
point.
you ready?
Can you see it? Let me ask you a question. Am I in the way? I mean, is my camera in the way?
No.
Can you see it clearly?
Mm-hmm. Sade,
Okay.
can you see it?
I'm gonna tell you something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now here. Can you see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
My mouse pointer. Okay. So this is Hebrew up here, Baruch, up there, and then this is the transliteration of the Hebrew, which makes it phonetically possible to say it in English, Baruch, and then you have blessed, because that's what Baruch means. But then I'm just going to show you the anatomy of the page before we can, Anyway, so down here is this blessed art thou in a paragraph. All right. So I didn't know if you guys knew where things were. So I'm just making it easier so that you'll know to read it. I read it with you guys. I mean, you ladies. I'm sorry. I hate saying that. Okay.
The English?
The English.
Yeah.
All right,
Sade?
In English is fine to me.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
We can do it in Spanish if you want. Ready?
Okay, we're ready.
Blessed.
Blessed art thou,
Thou,
Lord
our God, King of the universe, who
sanctifies us with
thy
thy commandments and commanded us to engross
the word of the
ourselves in the
Torah.
words of the Torah.
Wait a minute. You know what? See, that's what bothers me about these Caucasian Jews. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no beef with the Caucasian Jews. I appreciate the Caucasian Jews because it's what we have to this day, this very day, because of their contribution, right? Don't get me wrong. However, they say things like this in their blessings and prayers, which is not true altogether. Who commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of the Torah? I'm like, what verse is that? What chapter and verse? I don't remember seeing that in the scripture. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's maybe it says one thing in English and it says another one in Hebrew. I've run into that before. Okay, so like I said, I'm scatterbrained. So what am I supposed to be doing? Okay. I'm waiting on y'all to download the file. Did y'all do it?
The file.
Yes.
Oh, you have the file?
Mm-hmm.
Impressive. Oh my God. I have this love affair going on with water now. I used to hate water. But my God. Now I'm only allowed to drink 32 ounces of water a day. Makes you appreciate this stuff. Let me bring this back up. All right. Do y'all see the beginning of it?
Yes.
Basically, what you're looking at is the incomplete version of it, okay? This is how I was going to start off. I was going to put verses in each of those squares, a whole bunch of verses that was going to fill up the verses for each chapter, each verse. Okay, I do have enough room. Now think about it. I have enough room. But see, this was done in haste because, Deborah, this idea came about Monday. I mean, not Monday, but Wednesday. When did this idea come about? When did that come up?
Oh, Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Real? Oh my goodness. Okay, so it was done in haste.
Yeah.
How did she get in here?
Who?
Delora. Delore?
we just posted the number.
Oh, the real number?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's okay. I'm not, and it's okay, Delore. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's okay. I'm just curious because I found out that I gave out the wrong room number. And so it's surprising to me to see that somebody even made it in the room.
Because I posted the right number.
Yeah, and I posted
okay.
So Di and I, we got your back.
I see that. I see that. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It feels so good to have some help for change. But
nice.
anyway, okay. So these are all the verses in chapter 1, which should be 22, right? Is it 22?
19. You got 19.
Oh my God. Okay, so the 22 is at the end. You know what I'm saying? Now this program of mine, it's a trip. Yeah, it's a trip. It's not PowerPoint, but this is supposed to be a PowerPoint presentation. I don't even know how to go full screen on this thing, so forgive me. Okay, wait a minute. And so I did this in haste, and I said, no, we're going to do it Saturday. And boy, was that a mistake, but it's okay. It's okay. Nothing wrong with mistakes. I guess we can still learn through the mistakes I make. That's why I said I don't really want to know I don't know if I want to go live. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. And all right, so here's do you all see it? Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
On my screen on the chat, through the chat? Okay, cool. Awesome. Forgive me because I really don't know how to go from page to page. Let me see something. There you go. That's how it's done.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, Ruth, chapter 1. In chapter 1, I'll start off by reading chapter 1, and then these verses. You see these verses? I got these verses classified by what the scriptures may, what other scriptures may correlate to, should I say? Okay, so I'll explain. And it came to pass when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a man went from Bethlehem, Judah, to sojourn in the land of Moab, and his wife and his 2 sons. Now, what you see, okay, in brown are the words that I know relate to other scriptures in the Bible. I know that when I do the Bible book club, I don't really like to focus on other books. I like to stay in the book I'm in, as if that's the only book in the Bible at the time, so that we could get the most out that book. But now is the time for us to go all around the book if we want to. And Judges, what I wanted to do, I wanted to show, maybe some people don't know what judges are, what judges mean, or don't even realize, wait a minute, this is the time to judge. What are you talking about? What does that mean? Because some people have not, because some people have not even read the Bible, so they have no idea about most of this stuff. Okay, so Judges 1:16 is where we can find the mention of the judges, and then these other verses are laws. Well, let me say, when these other verses over here in this column to the left with the brown title for judges, those are laws relative to the verse in question, and these are verses that mention what the verse in question. All right, so like, for example, Judges 1:16, and the Lord raised up judges, and the Lord saved them out of the hands. What? And the Lord saved them? That makes sense. The Lord saved them out of the hands of them that spoiled them, and yet they listened not to the judges. See, that's just sister scriptures. That's what this is. Sister scriptures that mention the same thing. But the other things are the law. That's the one I want to sink my teeth into because I love the law. I should be a lawyer. I would be a lawyer if it was Jewish, if it was Torah law. Just Torah-based law, I would go to law school. Right? But for the American law, I'm not so much of a fan. All right, so Genesis 12. Hey, so while I'm saying this, while I'm reading this, you ladies can feel free to find a verse over there and underneath Judges. However, whatever method you're going to find to look it up, whatever method you find to look it up or to retrieve it. Genesis 12:10. No, that's for famine. So I'll focus on famine when we get to famine. So far, we're not there yet. We're on Judges. And please be patient with me because I have not figured out how I'm going to do this just yet. I don't know how. I don't know the best way to do this just yet. So I'm figuring out as I go.
All right.
If you have
we'll
any
be patient with you. You be patient with us. Now, where did you want us to go?
No, just right over there. It's over there, and you see Judges.
I see the brown.
There's Exodus 21, 20. There's Exodus 21.
6, 21, 22, and 29 to
Okay.
9.
Exactly. So all you're doing is just looking that up, and I mean, if you want to read it, go feel free. What's that? And what we're going to do is educate ourselves as far as the law is concerned. And you know all these, Deb?
I'm sorry?
Do you know all these laws?
No.
You don't? Oh, okay.
I used to.
I don't right now. I don't either because I don't remember where nothing is. Okay, I don't remember what Exodus 21, but I'm sure I've heard it before and I'm familiar with it. So this is sole purpose of this is to familiarize ourselves with the text as well as the law. And I don't know about anybody else as far as people who are teaching the Bible. But to me, the law is the most important thing, you know. Some other guys like to talk about doctrine. You know, that's cool. I can talk about doctrine. I mean, I'm okay talking about doctrine, but I don't really. Okay, let me put it this way: doctrine. Everybody has their opinion. Everybody has their interpretation of the Bible. But when it comes to the law, that's the thing that we can be the most unified on because the Bible's going to say what it says, and it's hard to deviate from that. That's the best course of direction as far as I see versus listening to somebody who's full of opinion and full of doctrine. I'm like, dude, that doctrine don't agree with Scripture, you know. That's the problem I have. So I'm gonna just focus on what's important. I mean, the most important, and that is law. As far as I'm concerned. All right, let me see. Did you find it yet? Or no? If you find it, just let me know. Hey, I found it.
21:6.
Is that the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah. I like to go. I would like to go from the first. I would like to go in consecutive order.
Okay. Let's see.
Hey, look. Let me tell you something. You can relax. It's not. I'm just going to say this. This is not formal. It's not formal. It's yeah. Well, for me, I have all day, Deb. So I'm not trying to take your time for granted, Saide. If you don't, you don't. I understand.
Let me ask you. So the Levites will give the law, right? But the judges were the one who would, I mean, based on what I'm reading, like it's like the Levite gave the law, but the judges were the one who was like, what's the word I want to use? Reinforcing it.
Hey, there you go. That's a good word. I was just thinking enforcing. But yeah, basically the Levite. Okay, let me put it this way: God gave the law. Moses shared the law. Taught. Moses was a teacher of the law.
Mm-hmm.
The Levites, they enforced certain aspects of the law. Then the elders of the tribes were like I'm not going to say they were the judges of the law, but in some cases they were the judges of the law, the elders of the tribes. And okay, okay, let me put it this way. It's hard to tell which is which, but when you read the law, you'll see laws, judgments, you see statutes, and you'll see commandments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not clear which one is which, right? Not clear which one is which. But the judgments, the judges made sure that what needed to be done as a result of breaking the law,
they were the ones who implemented.
There you go. They were the ones who, I'm not going to say, hey, they locking people up over here. I'm just going to say, hey, they the one that would preside. They're the one that would recite the sentence that belonged to him, and perhaps other younger men would apprehend them or whatever needed to be done, or exact the recompense. Because every Hebrew man, this is the law that I didn't plan on mentioning today, but it's okay. Every Hebrew man of the age of 20 to 50 was in the Israelite military. Okay. So I'm sure that some of them had to play double duty to help support and enforce the law, because just because you say so don't mean a brother going to do it,
Mm-hmm.
So you wanted to get somebody up in there who show him who's boss. So that's all. So that's it. It's Exodus 20. Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
21:6. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the door post. And his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever.
Okay. All right. Let me see something. So the master shall bring him to the judges. Okay. I can see. Okay. Let me see if I can put something visual in your mind. At the gates, at the city gates, every city had a gate. And especially if it was near a wall. All right. The gate was for protection, so that you couldn't just enter the city any way you wanted to. You had to go through the gate to enter the city. Mm-hmm. And it talks about that in Genesis 2, how the brothers had to go through the gate of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
No, I might be wrong about that. It gets to a point where all this information blends together. But no, I might be wrong about that. Okay, anyway. Okay, so anyway, there's a gate. And at the gate, there are politicians that reside at that gate. Hebrew politicians would be the Levites, the elders, and even some prophets, if there were some around. Okay, these are your Hebrew or Israelite politicians, and that's where they hang out, at the gate. And so, if I had a problem with a brother and I wanted to bring him before the judges, the judges would be always occupying this space, so that they would always be ready to handle any situation that's brought to them. And that would be at the gate. So I'll take the brother to the gate. Just like in this story in chapter 4, when, what's his name? Boaz wanted to settle the matter over the kinsman. He took that brother to the gate because that's where the judges reside. But this is during a period of time in Israeli history where these guys ran the show, and this is what broke God's heart. Instead of having a guy because they went from judges to prophets. Remember that? They went from judges to prophets. In the book of 1 Samuel, you see where unless Samuel was a prophet, unless Samuel was a judge, I don't know.
He was a prophet.
Yeah, he was a prophet, but I'm wondering, did he also play double
judge Israel? Yeah, so he was both.
Right. Yeah. So he was the last of his sons. No, he was the last of the Hebrew judges because I think they rejected his sons. Then he went to kings. So the whole thing kind of shifted when that happened. So anyway, I'm trying to control how much I talk. This is, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. We can discuss this law if you want to. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the door post, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. And that's the law of a Hebrew slave, or you have a bond slave, and then you have I forgot the term where you have a slave who has been a slave, but now he chooses, but he's free to go. He served his time, he's free to go. But he says, no, I want to stay with you guys. I love it here. I love you. I love your family. And with Hebrew slavery, a slave master would give his slave a wife, and she would be the slave master's property. And the children that they had would also be the slave master's property. Sounds real familiar, but a slave had a choice. When he go free, you go free. You go free. The rest of them stay here, right? And then so he would decide, well, I'm gonna stay here because either I love this family, you guys are cool as a mug, or because hey, I ain't going nowhere. My family and children are here. That could have been incentive, or that could have been strategically used against him to make sure he don't go nowhere. I don't know too many slave masters who like to see their slave go free. They still need that labor.
Right.
Anyway, so the next scripture was okay. Next scripture was Exodus 21:2. 21 also.
21:22.
21:22. All right, I realize I can't. Let me see. Let me try this. Let me see if I can go full screen. Okay, there we go. I can go full screen. I just got to hit Control Tab or Alt Tab to get back and forth. Oh, it's a new way of navigating, but I'll get used to it. All right. So 21 who? What's the next verse? It's
21:22.
Oh, 21:22. Thanks. All right. Cool.
Sadai, you want that one?
I'll read it. If a man strike and hurt a woman with child so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follows, he should be surely punished according as the woman's husband will laid upon him, and he should pay as the judges determine.
Yeah. Have y'all heard these laws before? I'm just curious.
I've read them before.
You've read them before? Okay. All right. Hurt a woman with a child. Okay, so this is not technically an abortion. This is just hurting a woman and she's pregnant. Hurting a pregnant woman Oh wait, well no, this is kind of important. This is well, it's not. No, it's not abortion per se, but it could.
No.
It could fall under the category of an abortion because there's many different reasons why a man. Well, let me see this. It sounds more accidental. If men strive, so if two men are having a fight, and the woman may come and try to break it up, like in another portion of the law, a woman can get her hand chopped off if she grabs a man by his stones when he's contending with another man. I don't know if you ever heard that law before, but there is such a law where you lose body parts for the crime that you commit. All right, so if men strive, men having a fight, and hurt a woman with a child, that means that she's somewhere in the vicinity, and it's a number of ways that can happen. I could be throwing something. I could throw something at this one guy, and he moves out the way, and then hits his wife. Like, oh my God! And hit her in the belly, and then her fruit departs from her, so that she loses the child. And yet, no mischief follows. Okay, no mischief follows mean that it wasn't premeditated. I mean,
right.
It doesn't mean okay. I did that, and then I'm gonna do some more damage to her. He shall be surely punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him. He shall pay as the judges determine. This is great because this shows us more judge duty. Okay, judges preside over how much something should be paid, how much something costs, because there's some crimes. Let me just say this. I want to say this because we're dealing with crimes, we're dealing with infractions of the law, but we're also dealing with what is called sin.
Mm-hmm.
We're also dealing with what is called sin. Now, a lot of people think that sin falls into one particular category and the law falls into another category, when in fact, the law details what sin is.
Mm-hmm.
Sin is transgression of the law. You know what I'm saying? And I wish people would get out their minds that sin is this ethereal, diabolical, whatever. And it's not that. It's just as simple as, wait a minute, brother, I'm growing them tomatoes in my yard. All right? You get them when I harvest them. You don't just go in my yard and grab a tomato because you just so happen to want a tomato today. You just sinned against me. There's sins against man, there's sins against God, and this details them all. And I don't think that's the problem. I don't think the distinction is made to my liking. That's my opinion. That's to my liking. But moving right along. And then there's another verse. Mm-hmm. If you guys have anything to say, feel free to say it. It's just an open forum. It really is. It's just letting you know. I don't want you to think that you gotta be okay. Cool.
Don't worry.
Cool.
22.9 we doing?
Huh?
22.9?
That's what it is?
Yeah,
okay. I'm
22.9.
I'm trying to get there myself. Wait a minute, hold on a second. 22.9. You go ahead and read it if you want to. I'll catch up.
For all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox, for ass, for sheep, for raiment, or for any manner of lost thing, which another challengeth to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judge shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor.
Right. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you. More. There's more duties of the judge. Oh, okay. I see what's going on. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh my God! I just figured it out. Cool. So that covers the judges. Now, famine. Genesis 12:10. Now there was a famine in the land. So Abraham went down to Egypt.
12:10.
Move it out the way. Went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. Now, what this family did was they left Israel and moved to Moab. I don't know if they're ever condemned by anybody for having moved to Moab, because I know Moab is one of Israel's enemies. So I don't know if when I say somebody, I'm talking about an independent individual who has a personal problem against the fact that they've done this. Like some people who conduct Bible studies may say, and God was angry with them for moving to Moab. And the Bible never says stuff like that, but a person in their mind might think that this was not supposed to be done. But in fact, it was done all the time. I mean, Isaac experienced a famine in Canaan and moved to Philistia, you know. Right. So it happens all the time. But my thing is, I'm curious about, I mean, not from the standpoint, but I'm just curious if they move to Moab. Everybody didn't move to Moab. Why couldn't they have just stayed and worked it out like everybody else did? You know, like Boaz, did he go to Moab? The scripture never says he went to Moab, but you know, so I wonder what did he do to maintain during the famine? How did he survive it? I will go to my grave with that question because it's not answered in the scripture. Genesis 26. Now, there was another famine in the land subsequent to the one that had occurred in Abraham's time. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. Then spake Elisha unto the woman, Elisha the prophet, unto the woman, whose son he had restored to life, saying, Arise and go, thou and thine household, and sojourn wheresoever thou can sojourn. For the Lord hath called for a famine, and it shall come upon the land 7 years. And the woman rose and did after the saying of the man of God. And she went to her husband. Oh, I'm sorry. She went she went with her household and sojourned in the land of the Philistines 7 years. So, man, we see this ain't no thing, right? That's what you do to survive. That's what you do to, especially a famine. So she moved to the Philistine, hang out with the Philistines. So even though they became enemies at one point in time, they were Israel's allies up in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But see, this is during the time here we're talking about the book of 2 Kings, is during a time when Philistines were definitely an enemy. Maybe during this time of their history, they worked some things out and had a workable partnership or something. I don't know. But I find that interesting. This famine was 7 years long. The famine in Egypt was 7 years long. But also after before the 7 year long famine, Egypt was made privy to the fact that, hey, for these 7 years prior to the 7 year famine that's coming in 7 years, it's going to be 7 years plenty. 7 years of plenty. So Joseph was wise enough to say, hey, you know what? Since we got this now, we got that coming, let's save up. And it's interesting because they found Joseph's granaries in Egypt. And we know where they are. So that's cool. All right. So some of the laws of famine. Numbers 36:13, Deuteronomy 1:5. Okay, I'll get some of these myself. So get whatever one you want to get, and that's cool. I'll just work around that. Well, just kind of be like Burger King, to where you can have it your way. You know what? It's hard going back and forth this screen. I forget. Deuteronomy 1, 5, 3, 2, 9. And also too, but when I'm reading my portion, it could be a time. It'd be a good time to look them up. That's so that one could proceed right after the other. I have Deuteronomy 2:9. Let me go ahead and bring it on down.
Okay.
And the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites. Why is this here? You think I'm gonna do a
Skip
family?
Numbers?
Deuteronomy.
I should go to that because I don't know this ain't got nothing to do with famine, but it's a good law to have. I think I meant it for something else. Number 16:13. Did somebody beat me to that? Did somebody beat me to number 16, 19, or 13?
We both beat you. Hey, wait, no, you can catch up.
Well, feel free. Yeah, that's why I figured it'd be better for me to go ahead down here to Deuteronomy and read something down there because I figured you ladies would beat me to that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So now you want that one?
Which one we're doing? 1 and 5?
36:13 Numbers.
36:13 numbers. Okay. Let me read it. 36:13. Mine says, there are the commandments and the judgment which the Lord commanded the children of Israel by the hands of Moses in the plain of Moab by the Jordan across Jericho.
Okay. All right. Look, it's quite clear that's a mistake on my part, because like I said, rushing is not my forte. So I can see right now, since I said Moab and she said Moab, this actually belongs somewhere else. But let's see. I got Deuteronomy 2:9. Who you got yours next? Then?
Deuteronomy 1 and 5 is Moab too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. Okay. You know what? I had time to edit this too. I had time to edit it, but sleep was better than editing at that point.
I like the last one, Deuteronomy 23:3. It's about the Moabites. It just says, the Ammonites and the Moabites should not enter the assembly of the Lord, even to the 10th generation. None of his descendants shall enter the assembly of the Lord forever. This is interesting,
like that,
because it says they cannot enter until the 10th generation, and then it says they cannot enter forever. It's like contradicting itself.
I know, right? Sometimes the Bible will do that, and it's interesting. Whenever I find a contradiction in the Bible, it's usually a translational error. Because the translators, they seem to have an agenda when they want to translate this book into English. I don't know about any other language, but into English at least. I found much of their agenda already by retranslating the scripture. So that was we did. Okay, I'm sorry.
Can we go through that scripture? Because I was just dying to ask this, Ruth. I was just dying to ask this because, like, the Hebrew Israelite, they pushes that Ruth is a Hebrew.
Oh my God!
Right.
Oh,
so this is a good scripture to like really examine, because they in their terms they say that she's a Hebrew, but we know that she's not a Hebrew. Nowhere in the scripture does it say that she was a Hebrew. And it tells you that she was from Moab. She was a Moabite. And maybe that explained that from this time of Deuteronomy, when this was written, because it says even to the 10th generation, it says they should not enter the assembly, even to the 10th generation. None of his descendants should enter the assembly forever. But if they can't enter to the assembly, how did Ruth came into play? because she's not a Hebrew, she's not an Israelite. Point blank.
Right. We'll definitely talk about that. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna go back for a second to because I just want to have all the bases covered and not overlook anything. So just give me 1 second. 13, 16. God. Okay. Okay. What the heck, man? Hey, Deb. Finger hut. These are the commandments of the judgments. What the heck? Okay. These are the commands and the judgments which the Lord God commanded by the hand of Moses or Moshe unto the children of Israel in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho. What does that mean? Does anybody know what that means? Or anybody know what's going on here? That's a better question. What is going on here? I'll say so you'll know when I ask a question how I might be thinking. This might help. These are the commandments. So Moses gave some commandments and Moses gave some judgments which are included in the Torah. And he did it in Moab. So in Moab, when Moses gave the Torah, he was never in one location giving it. It was all throughout that journey they took for 40 years. And he didn't just sit down and write a book in one fell swoop. This book was a continual work.
Continuously.
And, while they were traveling for all the 40 years. And some of those laws were situational. Somebody would come with a situation. Hey, I saw a dude over there carrying sticks on Shabbat. What should we do? And some of them are amendments. Some of them are addendums. All sorts of things. I don't understand what people think when it comes to how this was put together, but the Bible clearly tells us how it does it. And Moab was I mentioned this scripture or used this scripture because I wanted to show that Moab had a part to play in Israeli history. And it wasn't always a bad thing. Now, I think the reason why God has this vendetta against Moab, because they wouldn't let the children of Israel through when they were sojourning in the wilderness, I think. Or no. They got together with the Midianites. Moab did. And they
tried to curse them.
Yeah, they hired Balaam. Hired Balaam to curse them. And because of that, we see God is forgiving, right? But not if you mess up to certain levels. He's like, oh, nah, forget them.
Exactly.
I'm cool with that. I don't really need that Christian God with his. He loves everything. He forgives everything, and everything's cool with him. You slap him in the face, and he'll turn his face 2 or 3 more times. You'll slap the hell out of him 2 more times. I'm not down with that. That doesn't suit God to be that way, nor does it serve him well for him to allow his creation to abuse him like that. What I mean by, just constantly just overlooking what they do. Let me just put it that way. All right, so what was the other one? I'm horrible at this. I'm handicapped almost because I got to keep flipping back and forth. Deuteronomy 1:5. Did anybody do Deuteronomy 1:5 yet? Don't worry. I didn't forget about your question. I just want to cover it when the field is wide open. Deuteronomy 1:5.
1:5.
On this side of the Jordan, in the land of Moab, began Moses to declare this law, saying, now I would love to do that as a student of the scripture myself. I love to study the Bible in different facets. I would love to study which laws he gave in Moab, which laws he gave. There's other locations where Moses gave laws. I can't remember offhand because I just started learning to pay attention to them. So here, the Lord our God. Oh no. On this side of the Jordan, in the land of Moab, began Moses to declare this law, saying, "The Lord our God spake unto us at Horeb." Now, there were laws given at Horeb, and there were laws given at Moab. And I wonder if where the law was given, that distinction should be made as if that has something to do with the territory, or I don't know. I'm going to go study.
But the thing with the Moabites, we're definitely not to mix with the Moabites, because that must have been a law that was established where Israel was not to. That's why I'm saying, how was it that Ruth became into play? Because it was a law. It must have been a law that says that they were not to intermingle. Because when you go to Ezra's 9:1 and 2, it mentions the specific people, because in Exodus 9 and 2 is talking about interracial marriage. And it says how Israel were, I guess, getting married to the pagan nations. And I'm going to read it because it mentions the nation.
Okay, one second. Let me just say this real quick. I just wanted to finish all the scriptures I had. Then I was going to open it up for your discussion, okay? I just was trying to some order, and now we go freestyle. But let me finish this real quick, real quick. An Ammonite, this is the law in question we had actually talking about. In fact, I brought, an Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to their 10th. We already read that. You read that. Not bad. My God, we read that. So anyway, I just want to mention this. Ammonite and Moabite are two descendants of Lot. Lot being the son or the nephew of Abraham. And when his daughters got him drunk after Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, they got him drunk and had sex with him. And then they got pregnant from that union or from that encounter.
What the Moabites and the Ammonites came from.
One was named, oh my God, I can't believe this. One name, his name was not Ammon, but his name was something else, but he was called an Ammonite. His people were called Ammonites. And the other one was named Moab. So that's where it comes from. So that's who we're dealing with. We're dealing with, when you're dealing with the people that come from such a union, is that they have certain characteristics about them. Like, for example, Reuben slept with Jacob's wife, one of Jacob's concubines. But that concubine was the mother of some Israelite tribes. Reuben did this. And so Reuben's offspring were, never mind. I just realized I can't even remember who Reuben's offspring were. But, we know that Benjamin was a sex fiend. We know that Judah was a sex fiend. And by sex fiend, I mean they had issues or episodes in the Bible where they were known to be given to sexual practices that were suspect. For example, Judah slept with a prostitute who was really his daughter-in-law, which the story is based off of. The story of Ruth is based off of Tamar and Judah. And we'll cover that a little later. But also, Benjamin, remember that story we was reading?
The Benjamite that they killed somebody's wife? Wasn't that the Benjamite or something like that? And he cut the wife in pieces. And
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But it was the Levite. It was a Levite who had a concubine for a wife. Let's say something about that since we're talking about the law. A Levite should not have a concubine for a wife, a widow, or a divorced woman, or anything like that. A Levite supposed to have a virgin for a wife. Okay? And so that was lawful in the first place. But he was in a city of Benjamin. Benjamin. He was in.
Can somebody mute their phone?
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm trying to do it.
Oh my god. No.
I mean, I just did it. I'm doing the wrong person. Okay. Anyway, so where that Levite and his concubine were in the land of Benjamin at the time.
Yes.
What happened was Benjamin came out just like, I mean, that is almost word for word like Sodom and Gomorrah. They came out en masse and raped her until the morning, and she was pretty much dead from that abuse. And Levite told her, "Get up, let's go." And Levite and the concubine wouldn't get up, and so he cut her into 12 pieces and then nailed her throughout Israel. So that was that. Is that your house, Deb? Hey, Deb, is that your house?
No. I'm trying to get her.
I don't think it's okay. It was her. Okay, all right. I'm learning learning how to use these powers.
You got it? We're good?
Mm-hmm.
We're good. Yeah, okay. She can unmute herself when if she wants to speak. But
okay.
Right. All right. So anyway, so now back to you, Side. I have not forgotten about what you wanted to talk about Ruth not being a Moabite, not a Hebrew Israelite. Mm-hmm. I agree. I'm glad somebody else can finally see it plainly in the scripture. She's not an Israelite. She's a Moabite, and they refer to her as a Moabitess till the time chapter 4 ends. She's never considered Israelite. However, let me say this, because it coincides with this law, and it's good I wound up here. Mm-hmm. They are not to enter the congregation of the Lord. Okay. Now, the congregation of the Lord. Okay, let me put it this way. I was going to mention this, but when Boaz married Ruth, that's beautiful, right? But she now is not allowed into any of the festivals. She's not allowed to any of the
so she can't partake of any of our, like, the Sabbath or the Feast of Unleavened Bread, none of that stuff.
Well, she can't. Okay, look, it's like this. I don't know which one supersedes the other, but I know as a stranger, a stranger is entitled to celebrate the Shabbat with us. A stranger is entitled or demanded. A stranger is demanded to follow the laws we follow. And if you come from another land, you must adopt the ways we live here. But I don't know. See, here's the problem, Sade. Ruth made a conversion in chapter 1. When she was talking to Naomi, she said, "I will go where you go. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God." Right. So she made a conversion to I'm not going to say Judaism because I don't think it was called that back then.
Exactly.
But she made a conversion. So that's why I kind of switch her status from Moabite to stranger. I don't know if I'm right to do that or not. The Bible doesn't tell me.
She would be considered a stranger, but she's definitely not considered a Israelite. But the thing is, right, I'm just trying to figure, I'm reading Deuteronomy 23 and 3. So, because it says, an Ammonite or Moabite should not enter into the congregation of the Lord,
Right.
even to their 10th generation. They should not enter the congregation of the Lord forever.
Right.
So up to the 10th generation, they cannot enter. That's what I'm trying to, because
I don't think when you're saying the 10th generation, it's like, if I say, Sadai, this is just my view. If I say, Sadai, you can never come to my house. I don't care how many kids you have. You still can never come to my house. You see what I'm saying? I think we use the 10th generation just as even up to the 10th generation, they can never come in.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I could be wrong. That's just the way I feel.
It's not even about wrong or right. I'm going to just go ahead and share this real quick. This is why it's very important to learn Hebrew, okay? Because that word forever never means forever. Ever doesn't mean forever, like all eternity until, it never means that. The word forever is, we read it today in the blessing. Haulam. Haulam means perpetually. But the translators have used forever as our English counterpart to that word for some reason. And it helps to forward their agenda, but I'm not going to get into that. So,
but weren't perpetually and forever the same thing? I mean, like perpetually is like never, ever, right? You're never going to enter.
Perpetually could go on forever, but if it's a human backing the perpetually, it'll definitely have an end, because perpetually ends when that human ends. But perpetually means it's conditional. Perpetually means that, okay, if I keep giving my wife, I don't have a wife, I'm just going to say that. If I keep giving my wife flowers, she keeps loving me. So my wife going to keep on loving me as long as I keep giving her flowers, right? That can last a long time. But if there's a day when I don't give her flowers and her love of me depends on her getting flowers, the day I don't do it is the day perpetually ends, because I don't even know if I'm saying this right. Because then she won't love me no. Her love ends for me. That's the difference between perpetual love and conditional love. Somebody who's perpetually loving me is based off something I'm doing. But the day I don't do that, they decide, I don't love him no more. That's when perpetual ends. That may not be something you agree with, but I'm just sharing from this side of now, because the contradiction, like I said, most of the time when I find a contradiction in the scripture, it's because of a translation somewhere. Like for example, even to the 10th generation. Well, actually in Exodus 34, actually Exodus 20, it says, I will remember I will remember your sins. I will remember their sins unto the 3rd and 4th generation. Right. So, generations in the Bible have been many different things. All right. In the Messiah's day, they were about 40 years. There were generations mentioned during the days of Noah and Adam, but we know they couldn't have been 40 years because them dudes were living centuries long. Okay. But as we settle in, we understand that generation has a time period. Now, to the 10th generation, if you go, I haven't done it. I can't do the math on that in enough time for it to be quick enough. But it makes me wonder. No, she couldn't have been, because I was curious about whether Ruth was a 10th generation Moabite.
Because I'm thinking that when he says, even to the 10th generation, they should never enter into the congregation forever, he's talking about up to that 10th generation, they will never enter into the congregation. But anybody outside after the 10 generations will be able to enter. And maybe that's how we know that she were able to marry both.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking about perhaps.
But then it's confusing because when you go to the book of Ezra, he talks about how the people was marrying to the pagan nations, and one of the pagan nations that he mentioned, it's the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Egyptians, the Canaanites. Like, these were the people that we were not allowed to marry with, and that's why he pray and have them send their wife away, because these were the wife that they were marrying with. And he says that we wasn't supposed to mix the holy seed with these people.
Yeah, because there is in the book of Ezra, in the Bible, not in the Apocrypha, the same thing is mentioned about the Ammonites and the Moabites and how people were married to them. But see, I'm gonna tell you something. I don't agree with the Ezra. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put it this. I might as well just go ahead and say this. Just because it's written in the Bible, I'm of the mind it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it something that should be done, and it doesn't make it historical. But I'm gonna say this: as far as Nehemiah is the one I have a problem with, because Nehemiah did some things to the Samaritans and people that occupied Israel when they decided they wanted to come back from Babylon, from exile. And they said, let us help you build the temple. Let us help you. And he said, no, we're going to build the temple and you guys stay out there. Mm-hmm. And he did some things to make sure they weren't helpful. And I'm like, well, look, you need all the labor you could get, brother. You should have told them they could help. You don't have the right to cast them aside and cast them off like that. I have a problem with the way Nehemiah did things, but it's always said that the book of Ezra and Nehemiah should belong together. Mm-hmm. All right. So I don't know. Okay. I guess Ezra wrote his part, and I guess Nehemiah wrote his part. But let me put this. Let me go back to the marriages. I know for a fact that there are 7 nations that Israel is not supposed to marry, and those are the nations of the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and
the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites. Yeah, right. But then he has Ammon and the Moabites and the Egyptians, which, if you read the next verse here, the Egyptians, even though we're not, it says, I think it's in Deuteronomy something where it says that they're able to come into the congregation. They wasn't cast out completely out of the congregation. Neither was the Edomites. The Edomites were also allowed to, after a certain time, to come into the congregation. The only time that you read that somebody's not allowed at all in the congregation would be with the Moabites and the Ammonites. Right.
And I think it's important because some people, I'm gonna tell you something. Many people have read that scripture and said horrible things about the Moabites. Mm-hmm. Oh, they don't belong among us, and they should be away from us. But the thing is that when we see the word congregation of the Lord, that tells me whenever religious business is going on, mm-hmm. they are away from it. Like, they're not allowed to the temple, they're not allowed to any of the feasts, anything like that. But as far as sojourning in Israel, as far as being allowed in Israel, we see that even though we might think that, the scriptures say otherwise. Like, for example, Ruth is one example.
But even the Moabite, right? Wouldn't they fall under being strangers?
They would be strangers because strangers, well, it depends on what translation you use. That's what's so confusing because the word stranger and foreigner are sometimes synonymous, sometimes they're not. And I don't know which Hebrew word they're using for foreigner, stranger. That's my problem right there. But you're saying, I agree with you 100%. Like, what's his name?
Because Isaiah talks about the strangers, right? In the book of Isaiah, in chapter 56. I like this chapter because, and I like using it when I'm speaking with other Hebrew Israelites, because I know that they have the tendency to say who can and cannot come into the congregation, right? But this is totally opposite of what they push, because this tells you that as long as they keep in the law and they please in the Most High, they're able to come. They are welcome to come into the congregation, because that's what Isaiah 56, that chapter is talking about.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back on a point you made earlier. You said something about marrying Egyptians. That's something that, who did that? I know Ishmael. Well, no, he's not. That's not Israel, though. Never mind. I'll take that back. But Joseph married an Egyptian. And we have so many of the patriarchs that have married outside of the Israelite race. Mm-hmm. And some of these issues are more like modern issues. Like we know why the Moabites are shunned, and we know why the Moabites are shunned. Mm-hmm. I really don't know. I can't remember why the Ammonites are shunned, because the Moabites teamed up with the Midianites and hired Balaam. And we know that's why they did that. And we know God had an issue with Esau because, let me say, Edomites, because they would not allow Israelite to go through their land as a shortcut. Mm-hmm. Even though Israel was ready to pay for their water and food. And so there was a hate or contention installed in Israelites concerning that. But as far as the Moabites, that's a good question. But I know what I was going to say. To the 10th generation, it's hard to tell if Ruth was what generation Ruth was. I'm sure we could figure it out. I'm sure if mathematically we could figure it out, I guess.
So Ammonite, if you go back to Deuteronomy 3 and 4, right? Mm-hmm. That because on verse 4 it tells you why they're not allowed to come into the congregation, because on verse 4 of Deuteronomy 23 and 4 it says, because they did not meet you with bread and water on the road when you came out of Egypt, and because they hire against you Balaam the son of Peor from whatever his name is, of Mesopotamia, to curse you. So I guess that both of them got together it wasn't just Moab who tried to curse them, but it was, I guess, both of them, Moab and the Ammonites.
You say that was Deuteronomy what now?
Deuteronomy 3 and 4.
3 and 4? Okay.
Huh? Yeah.
3 and 4?
Deuteronomy 23.
Oh, 23. Okay, I got you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. It's cool. Deuteronomy 20. And I want to see this for myself. Okay, and Ammonite. Oh, that's the next verse. Okay, I'm going to stay right where I was. Because they met you not with bread and water in the way when you came out of Egypt. Okay, so maybe that's what the Ammonites did. But we know that the Moabites were the ones who hired Balaam against Boar and Hathor of Mesopotamia to curse you. And we know that this is all done out of fear of this large crowd coming. I saw the complaints of the Moabites. They're going to lick up our grass like ox. Hey there, Liv. How you doing? I guess I'm saying that right. We got a newcomer, you guys. Oh, you ladies?
Yeah. I said hi to her.
Hello.
You said hi to her? Okay, cool. There is a chat function to the chat room. There's a chat room you can type to each other. I'm still trying to learn this thing. But
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Has you been doing? Oh, you been doing? No, have you been doing that on the Facebook?
Both.
Both? Really?
Yeah, the chat room and Facebook.
Okay, cool.
I've been busy.
Excuse me, I see. All right, so all right, so wait. Okay, so my brain is all over the place today. I don't know what's going on. You know, it's the second day of consecutive sunshine over here. Oh, this weather is gorgeous. And yeah, even though it looks like crap outside, because it's still got that wintry look, but I'm loving it. All right, so there is a file, Liv, to download, and that file is found in the group in the file section. It's actually called Ruth Bible Study. That PDF. Okay, so just so you can we can all be on like the same page, and you can it can be more interactive. You know, you can interact more, have something that a guide you buy. Oh my God, I can't talk today. Anyway, let me go back. All right, so we're cool. We're done with that first. We're done with the first verse. An hour later, all right?
An hour and a half.
Hour and a half? Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
This don't make no sense, but this is cool. This is cool. I love this. This is all right. Okay. Oh my God. See, this is where it should have been. That's why there was a mistake. I'll see what this mistake was now. See, it says famine here, but these scriptures actually belong to the next page.
And then the ones you have for more is the ones for the famine.
Right, yeah. So I totally botched that up. I didn't even do Bethlehem, Judah, but it's okay. It's all right. All right, so anyway, and the man, this is all me, all right? So you guys, you ladies get a break from the verses. Anyway, the man's name was Elimelech, and his wife's name was Naomi. And the names of his two sons, Ma'alon and Cha'alon, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came to the land of Moab and remained there. Don't worry. We're not going to be rereading Ruth chapter 1. I did leave some verses out, and only the verses that have scriptural backing or are related to the law, or the law will better explain, are mentioned here. We're not going to do the whole thing again. That would make sense. That would mean I would really need to readjust my the Bible Book Club rules. All right, so Genesis 48:7. As for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan. In the way, hold on, excuse me, my camera's in the way. In the way when yet, in the way when yet there was but a little way to come to Ephrat, and I buried her in the way of Ephrat. The same is Bethlehem. Okay, so basically what he's saying is that we was on our way to Ephrat and Raquel died on the way. Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever seen, I'm sorry, and he buried her in Ephrat. And so the Ephratites, their pride is that the fact that Raquel, one of the mothers of Israel, is buried there.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also another place where it mentions her grave. Have anybody seen her grave? Have anybody seen Raquel's gravesite? Because I'm ready. I want to show it to you if I can. Cal grave site. It's kind of run down. Okay, you see my search search here is given to me. It says Raquel's grave in Efrat. I'm gonna click on that, and then when it comes up, my slow internet connection. God, that's slow. Then I'm gonna go to images, and we can see more images, more angles of the images by having it all together. Now, for those who don't know, there is actual proof that these people existed. Okay, and there are landmarks all over the earth. No, I'm not going to say all over Israel where they lived, where their land was, where their grave sites are. Okay, so a lot of people may not think about that when they read the book, that there's actual archaeological proof of these people. The Bible is saturated in archaeological proof to prove that this book is real, that these people actually lived. So here is Rachel's gravesite. This whole building that you see, it looks kind of like a mosque almost. This little building out here in the middle of nowhere. It was built by Muslims over her gravesite. But this is what it looks like. If you need me to, I can click on one of these images so that you can see. There's the inside of it here. I'm gonna click on that image. That's the inside of her gravesite. That's her tomb right there that she occupies. And I don't know if you guys know this, or ladies know this or not, but there is the gravesite of Abraham, which is in Machpelah, which coincides with what the scripture says about where the gravesite is. Not only is Abraham buried there, but Sarai, Leah, Jacob, and I think that's it. Those four are buried there. And you can, when you go to Israel, you can set up tour of the grave sites, etc., etc. Hope that helps. All right, and oh my God, I did a horrible job. I got two chapters right underneath each other, the exact same on the verses. 1 Corinthians, 1 Chronicles 2:19. Azuba. Yeah. There we go. And when Azuba was dead, Caleb took unto him Ephrat, which bore him Hur. All right, so Ephrat is not on location, but it's also the wife of Caleb. Micah 5:2. Thou Bethlehem Ephrata, thou be a little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall come forth unto me, that is, to be a ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. Let me see if you guys can take a guess as to who that might be. No guess? That's easy. That might be. That's, of course, one of the messianic prophecies. It's referring to the Messiah. This is where he came from. We know that he was born in Bethlehem, and we know that he was born not far from Rachel's gravesite, which is why there's a prophecy about Rachel's gravesite. Referring to the Messiah, how she will weep for her children. I can't remember offhand, but something like that. Okay. And Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left and her two sons. Right. So there are the scriptures over there to the left about the death, the laws referring to death are over there on the left. And if you be so kind as to look those up for me, that'll be awesome. But I'm going to go ahead and touch on what's right here in front of us. Numbers 19, 11 through 22. And yes, I'm using the King James only because my favorite Bible tool uses the King James to make it so easy to search it. All right. 11. He that touches the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. He shall purify himself with it on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall be clean. But if he purify not himself the 3rd day, then the 7th day he shall not be clean. Whosoever touches a dead body of any man, that dead is dead and purified not himself, defileth the tabernacle of the Lord. And that soul shall be cut off from Israel, because the water of separation was not sprinkled upon him. He shall be clean, he shall be unclean. His uncleanliness is yet upon him. Oh, this is so long. My eyes are having a hard time ending it and going right back to the beginning of the next line. Hold on. This is the law when a man dieth in a tent. All that come into the tent and all that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days. And every open vessel which was not covered, bound upon it, is unclean. And whosoever touches one that is slain with a sword in an open field, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. And for an unclean person, they shall take of the ashes of the burnt heifer of purification for sin. And running water shall be put there in a vessel, and a clean person shall take hyssop and dip it in the water, and sprinkle it upon the tent, and upon all the vessels, and upon the persons that were there upon him, and touches the bone, or one slain, or dead, or a grave, and the clean person shall sprinkle it upon unclean on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day. And on the 7th day he shall purify himself, and wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and shall be clean at even. But the man that shall be unclean, he shall not purify himself. That soul shall be cut off from among the congregation, because he hath defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of separation has not been sprinkled upon him. Unclean. He is unclean, and he shall be perpetually. It shall be a perpetual statute unto them, that he that sprinkles the water of separation shall wash his clothes. He that touches the water of separation shall be unclean until even. And whatsoever the unclean person touches shall be unclean, and the soul that touches it shall be unclean until even. God. All right. Yeah. So we can see that I don't know how you feel about this, but let me say this. What we just read is not only the law, it's also the statute. Mm-hmm. It's not. What we have in this portion of Scripture is the law, the statute, and the judgment, and the command. Mm-hmm. All right? And I'm not saying the whole thing is all 4. I'm saying different segments of that is one of the 4. Okay? And I hope you know by now what a judgment to the law is, because the judgment would be he should be cut off from his people. Mm-hmm. He should be cut off from Israel. That's the judgment, and that's what the judges would decide at the gate. Mm-hmm. We were talking about judges, so That's what they would decide. Okay, he's be cut off from his people. They would pronounce the sentence, and then the sentence would be carried out by, whatever henchmen they have working for him. Whatever. So anyway, this details what is done when a person comes in contact with a dead person. So Naomi's husband died. The only way this would not affect her is if he died somewhere else and off somewhere else, like in a field, and she was at home. And she said, hey, I have some money. Would you guys go get my husband? He died out there in the field of Moab. And I need you to carry him somewhere else. But for the most part, when a person dies in Israel, people are getting unclean. Bottom line. Mm-hmm. People get unclean because they got to carry, they have to give proper, they have to dispose of the body properly. And unless they had a crew who went around doing this, and they could just hire to pick the body up and all that kind of stuff and not be a part of it, the only people that I know who could not at all be a part of it is the Levite and the Nazarite. Okay? Mm-hmm. For them, it would have been sin. It would have been detrimental. But for you, you can be, to be unclean is not a sin. To be unclean is just having, let me put it this way. I don't want to be vulgar, but having intercourse makes you unclean. If your husband ejaculates during the intercourse and it gets on you, that makes you unclean. It's not a sin to be unclean. It's a condition that you must cleanse yourself for, right? And I know some Christians consider uncleanness as a sin, but putting it in proper perspective and how it relates to Hebrew life, all right? There's some things you just must ceremonially wash yourselves for before you do another thing. There's certain things you got to stay away from the public until evening. Wash yourself with water, then you can be a part of the public again. And I've noticed that a lot of the things that you have to go away in private for are things that will prevent disease. Okay? Like after intercourse, you have to wash yourself with water and be unclean until the evening. Okay? And I'm gonna tell you something. There's some American doctors that have told me if people would just wash themselves after sex, a lot of these STDs could be prevented. Right? And with the dead bodies and such, there are things we can get from a dead body, from the corrosion of a dead body, from the decomposition of a dead body. And we can spread some of that disease around like plagues, like the bubonic plague and such. Just an example. Okay? And I'm just bringing this up because, like I said, the laws I mentioned may not have something to do directly with the story of Ruth, but I'm bringing it up because the story of Ruth mentions it, and it gives us an opportunity to talk about these laws that are important. So I did my part. Now we're going to speak about the other laws of death, which is found in Numbers 19, Numbers 5, and Numbers 9. And if y'all have those, that's great.
Yes. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You just said that the Levites and the Nazarenes, which is true, were the only ones that were not allowed to, at no time, to touch the dead. This might be a good question.
Okay, I'm just going to say this, that in the Torah, those two were singled out as two who are not to make themselves unclean for a dead body.
Yeah. So Matthews, it might be a
you going to New Testament only?
Yeah.
Okay.
When Christ told the apostles on Matthew, I think it's 8:22, when he said, "Follow me and let the dead bury the dead."
Right. Right.
Is that like him saying that like there'll be like the Levites where they will not be able to touch the dead?
Right. Yeah. You're right. Okay. So when Messiah said that's okay, let the dead bury the dead is like a Hebrew idiom that I have seen to forgot what it means. But I know it's like almost like give to Caesar what is Caesar's, or let don't worry about the dead. Is mainly what it's saying, because basically what he's saying is that person who tells Messiah, "Hey, let me go bury my mom, my dad, and then I'll follow you." Basically, what he's saying is, his parents are still alive. When my parents die, that's when I'll follow you, because I have an obligation to my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they die and I bury them, then I'll follow you.
Okay.
Messiah's like, look, man, get your priorities straight. Let those who are dead bury the dead. They got some people that can take care of that already. Follow me is the priority. It's the highest priority, and you should abandon that to do this, just like all the other disciples did. No other disciple like, oh yeah, let me go back and do this and such and such. So. I'm so absent-minded today.
The reason why I asked that, right, it's because when you read Revelations, I don't even remember which section of Revelations, but I'm pretty sure it's like the end of Revelation, that it says that after the first resurrection, those who are in the first resurrection will be like, they will take over like the priestlyhood or something to that effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And being told that in Christianity, because Christianity is so crooked, because when we read Revelations, we sit here thinking that we're waiting on something that's supposed to happen in the future. But when you really study, it's a lot of that stuff already taking place.
No, you didn't just say that. No, you didn't just say that.
Don't you want to have church?
Welcome to the family.
Don't you want to have church?
I want to get them dance a little bit.
I know.
I'm so glad I knew it. I knew that if you just left Sunday alone, she would figure it out.
She might already know that.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah. How did you come to that conclusion?
You know what? I was writing for a blog. I was writing about, for the Passover, I wanted to post something about the blood and the wine, because he says, when he says, eat my body and drink my blood. But we know that is symbolic or something.
Right.
In Christianity, they make you believe that the covenant is something that's going to take effect in a later time. Right. But that is part when... Like, to me, when I was reading it and I was studying it, it's like that's when the covenant took place. That's when the new covenant came into effect, was on that meal that he had with his disciples. Because if you look at the Old Testament, when Moses gave them the law and they agreed and they say, yeah, we're going to follow the law, he sprinkled the blood on the four corners of the altar. And that was like going into agreement and saying we're going to follow. So when he gave them the wine and the bread, and he uses the symbolic of my body and my blood, when you drink that wine, you're going into that covenant with him, saying, I'm accepting this new covenant. So therefore, the covenant is not something that is in a future to come. It was established at that time.
I agree. He said, this is the new covenant in my blood. Not in my blood 1,000 years from now, 2,000 years from now, but the blood. But it's not really his blood, but it's, of course, grape juice resembles his blood. Sacrament, I guess you would call it. But this means I'm entering a covenant with you guys now, right now. And it's funny because the New Testament and the Old Testament coexisted until the temple was destroyed in 70 AD by the Roman Emperor Titus. And a lot of Bible believers do not take into consideration history. I guess many of them believe that, it's Hebrew Israelites anyway. Well, history was written by the white man, and we know that's not right. No, it's accurate. It's accurate. It can be relied on. As a matter of fact, the way me and Deb know about it, I don't know how you know about it either, Deb, but the way I know about this is that I read the books of Josephus, and Josephus gives a play-by-play of the war between the Romans and the Jews. And I swear sometimes I forget I'm reading Josephus and I think I'm reading Revelations because I see the stuff he's talking about. I'm like, that's in the book of Revelations.
Yeah. And even the book of Daniel, like, it's a lot of stuff in the book of Daniel that is already taken place. If you read Daniel carefully and you follow it, it even tells you when 70 AD is going to happen and all that good stuff. But yes, still Christianity, it's pushing this agenda like, you know what, the book of Revelations is something that's going to happen in the near future. But when you read it and you go, like you precept with the Old Testament, it shows that it's a lot of stuff that already taking place. So what exactly are we waiting for?
And I'm going to tell you something. That's Christianity's bread and butter. That's Christianity. Because look, Christianity wants to remain relevant. They want the world to believe they're still needed. And they're not. Because I'm going to tell you something. If the world knew that most of that stuff already happened, they'd be like, what the heck? I got to see and listen to you for. What the heck do I got to give you my tithes for? Because common sense should tell anybody. It's not a Levite running a Christian church. The Levites were the ones we are mandated to give the tithes to. The Levite, the widow, the orphan, and the sojourner. 4 people deserve the tithes. And I'm like, look, the heck with your pastor. I don't know him. I don't know his genealogy. If he is black and he is Israel, I don't know what tribe he belongs to. And I think it's doing a disjustice to a human being to take their tithes and you're not a Levite because you're causing them to sin. Because that sinning means this is not the law. The law is. But then again, it's like I don't know what Levites are, so I couldn't give it to them. But I can give it to the widow. I can give it to the orphan, on the sojourner, etc. So my tithes always go to some charity of some sort.
Exactly.
Thrift store, some.
And even I read that some of the tithe is attached to your sacrifice, like the food that you're gonna. Because I think I don't know if it's in Leviticus or Deuteronomy where he says if you cannot travel to basically, if you cannot travel to Jerusalem to do the sacrifice, then sell it, and wherever I send you there, you will eat it. So
exactly, and buy whatever your soul desires, even strong drink, even strong drink. So, yeah, and the tithe was only given every third year, and then there were things done by years. There was a Sabbath year where no sowing or reaping was supposed to be done, and so God had things on a cycle, to make sure everything stayed in order. But yeah, so good job. I'm so glad you know that. Refreshing to know that you know that. Now, also too, I want to say this: when the Messiah raised Lazarus, he made himself unclean for that purpose. And a lot of people like to say, I know some people are going to hear me say that and say, no, that's not true because Messiah never sinned. Well, look, brother, being unclean is a necessary part of life. It's just the Bible's telling you what to do when you become unclean so that you don't sin by going to the tabernacle or to the temple, whatever. Okay? So the Bible doesn't tell us that he honored the 7 days of purification. I'm assuming that he did, but that it doesn't mention it. And that's okay. That's okay. Some people want the Bible to mention every single thing that he did, or he didn't do it, or it proves that he didn't do it. I'm like, come on, Drew, relax your criteria a little bit, you know? So, okay, did y'all find them verses?
Yes.
Did you find it, Deborah?
I was busy. What are we looking at?
Numbers.
These verses over here on the left.
I know.
That
What section?
is your
5, 2,
version.
and 4.
Huh?
It's right here. You can't see it?
I can't. I've lost. I've been going back and forth, so my page is off. So where are we?
Numbers 5, 2, and 4, and Numbers 9 in verse 6.
Got you.
Okay, well then that leaves Numbers 9.
The first one, I already got it.
All right.
All right. So Numbers 5, 2, and 4, it says, command the children of Israel that they put out of the camp every leper, every one who has a discharge, and whoever becomes defiled by a corpse. You should put out both male and female. You should put them outside the camp, that they may not defile the camp in the midst of which I dwell. Question.
Awesome. That's a judgment. That whenever there is an action that must be followed as a result of something that is a judgment, and you and I could know the judgment very well, and we could recite them over someone and sentence that person because we know the law, and that's basically what a judge does. He knows the law, so he recites the prescribed sentence for that infraction of the law. And so this particular one is saying that anybody who has skin issues, anybody who's contaminated themselves by being around a dead person and etc., stay your butt outside the camp. This was in the days when Israel had a camp, all right? So I guess it would be outside the city. I guess it would be outside the town or something like that. I don't know. But since Moses died in the giving of this stuff, there has not been a more modern, suitable version of this law. But that's what the rabbis seek to do. That's why, all this other stuff has been added to the law, because these rabbis have counseled together and decided, okay, the way we got to keep that now, today, we understand that's in Moses' day. We don't have that no more. But the way we could do that today is to do thus and such.
That's what I was going to ask. Does this apply to today? Like,
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be honest with you. We can agree to disagree. Let me say this ahead of time. But this law that I read in Numbers 19 about the dead makes this law whole, which makes this impossible to keep. Impossible. And I'm going to say this because the way you purify yourself from a lot of different, let me not say a lot, the way you purify yourself from certain infractions, I want to say sin, but sin has another connotation in people's mind. I want to say so when you purify yourself is you burn a red heifer completely at the altar. Then you take what's been burnt on that altar, and then you take a red thread and you mix it up, and you do use water and blah 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 blah. That's what you do. You have to purify yourself through those means, or else you have not purified yourself. You're not pure. And since we have no altar, we have no temple, we have no red heifer,
we have a priest. So
we have no.
Wait. We we technically do, but we don't, because Christ became the high priest. But not less. But is this where grace come into place? because, okay, for example, it says if somebody has a discharge, so let's say it's a female and they're on that time. Are we allowed? No, I'm serious. I'm just questioning, right? Even though that we're under grace, because I'm assuming that this is where grace takes place, because we don't have a temple, we don't have the priest, we don't have the sacrifice. So Christ is the one who took over that. So I guess this is where grace come into place. But are we still allowed to like pray during that time period and like study the word during that time period of discharge, or we're to back off and wait into after to come back in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Let me say this before I address that. I was laughing because you said female. When you said discharge, you automatically went to a female. But me as a male, I'm thinking we got discharges too. Our discharges are what makes you unclean. All right, your discharges. Okay, no, never mind. But we have them too, so we're not exempt. What was your question again?
So what I'm saying is during that period of uncleanness, right? Can we still study the word? Can we still pray? Because I think it says on here, it says that they may not defile the camp in the midst of which I dwell. But since we don't have a camp and we don't have whatever, and I guess that we are the temple and he dwells on us, right? So does that mean that during that time we're supposed to like back off and not pray, or you know what I mean?
I'm gonna say what I'm gonna give you my opinion, because basically that's all we boil down to now is an opinion, because we don't have detailed law explaining what to do in a situation like that. I don't think a woman should not pray when she's on a cycle. And I know that's the temple, but we do have synagogues, we have mosques, we have masjids, we have churches. Now, should a woman, now in those given situations, because basically it's dealing with a structure where people are congregate, right? So in those situations, we know this, that Leviticus 15 details everything about the bodily uncleanness. And when a woman is menstruating, whatever she touches becomes unclean. So it would behoove a woman to have some items that she's touched on her cycle and put them in this area and say, okay, these are the items I touched when I was on my cycle. And so every time, every time I have my cycle, these are the items I'm going to use exclusively, and just keep them in that unclean section. I don't even think we have to do that to this day, but for those who want to follow this to the letter as much as possible, that's what they can do. Or I think a more casual way. I think what happens is Messiah kind of opened it up a little bit for us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wouldn't that be where grace will take place? Because
yeah. And I think there's ways to incorporate it in today's day and not be so superstitiously religious about this stuff. Like, for example, I would say to a woman, hey, you know what? You cycling? How about you just wait until after your cycle is complete before you go down to the Walmart and be going grocery shopping, because you're going to go over there, and I know you like to touch the daggone fruit. All right, that's nasty. That's something I don't know. I don't know why it was unclean for a woman. A woman was considered unclean because of cycle. I don't know if it's because we're looking at Israel 2000 BC. In Israel 2000 BC, you had to pretty much live with the dirt you had on you unless you was around some water or a well or something like that. But now we have hand sanitizer, we have We have maxi pads and all kind of stuff that women like to use to absorb that fluid. And I don't know if it's the fluid, because the fluid was on their clothes. I have no idea what made it unclean. I don't know. Because for me to say, you know what, you're bleeding, that makes you dirty. That makes you filthy. No, I don't say a woman is filthy because she's bleeding. Not her whole body anyway. You know? And clean and unclean, I don't know if it means sanitation. I don't know if it's referring to sanitation. It could mean just a condition of a person's well-being. I'm not sure. And it's like, wait a minute, you know what? You're more susceptible to disease and spreading disease. Therefore, that makes you unclean. To say whether you need to take a bath or not, well, I guess it does. I'm trying to find a loophole and I can't find one, because I'm looking out for the ladies. You know what I'm saying? I care about the ladies, and I don't like, because I know how men lord this stuff over women, sometimes to where it becomes oppressive. So I'm just trying to find a freedom in it. But what, didn't you ask a question that I didn't answer?
Grace.
Grace. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. Look, I'm not the one who sits on the throne. So for me, I'm not going to condemn anybody for what they do. Even a sister who went to the Walmart with on her cycle. Because honestly, we have to live and share this world with Gentiles. Mm-hmm. So we go to the same store the Gentiles go to. And I'm hoping that God saw that coming. Because I'm thinking God would really have to be, maybe he ain't God, to not see this coming, this day and time, where we'd be sharing the world openly with Gentiles. Mm-hmm. And unless we build our own competitive stores, yeah. And then we have those. We always go to the kosher store, you know, or we can go to the halal store. Now, the halal store is the Islamic kosher standard, which the Hebrews and the Ishmaelites share. We can actually eat each other's stuff, right? But we can't regulate this stuff. I can't sit there and have a store and know that every single customer that comes in is clean. No woman is coming in and cycling, unless menstrual women wore certain attire back in Israel, unless they wore the color red during the time of the menstrual cycle. We have no idea. Men ain't checking women's drawers coming to the store. Let me see if you cycle. Let me see if you cycle. You know, we ain't doing that. So that becomes a little difficult, especially nowadays. I don't even know how they did it back in their day. I have no idea how they pulled that off.
I think it was morals back then.
Huh?
Had to be morals, because there's no way, you know.
Had to be
they feared the Most High. It had to be morals. The honest system.
And I tell you what, I think what happens is, I think they believe, like Christians used to believe a few decades ago, well, if you come in here while you cycling, you're going to get struck down by lightning, because the Lord is going to make sure he take you out. I guess that's how they thought. That could lend itself to the reason why Naomi had these superstitious thoughts. She had these thoughts that the Lord has afflicted me. Whatever. That's just facts. I mean, these are just life happening to you, you know. And she thought that her husband died, and maybe they had great grandiose plans of living in Moab, or maybe not. You know, maybe they're like, whenever the famine clears out over Israel, we going back, right? And now I hope it makes sense when I said earlier when we were doing the Bible book club, the book reading. I said that 7 years was 7 years was a standard for a famine. Some famines, or 7 years was how long a lot of famines lasted. for when God was punishing or something like that. And that's why I said they were there for 10 years. I said, well, maybe the news got to them late. The seventh year, it may have been over, but the news got to them kind of late because they went by the news that they heard about Judah. And that could explain how Boaz and all the rest of them didn't leave. Like they left to go to Moab. Maybe there was other families that left to go to Moab too, but they came back sooner because they heard word sooner, and then they established themselves. And by the time Ruth and them came back, Boaz already had a farmland and whatever. But we find out too that when Naomi left Israel, she came right back to the house she lived in. Mm-hmm. It's not like me. I left Maryland 14 years ago. I moved to Georgia, and I got a house down in Georgia. Now I moved back to. No, it is like me. I'm sorry. Because I moved back to Maryland, and I'm here in Maryland, and I'm living in the exact same house that I lived in when I went to high school. That is so funny. But everybody doesn't have it like that. People that move back to where they came from live in another house. Mm-hmm. But this is Israel for you. This is Israel. And I want you to get in your mind what Israel was like. It's like if you had land, that was your family's land until you guys got kicked out that thing. It wasn't no like America who's money hungry and money grubbing. You left your house, we're going to put that thing on the market and sell that thing. No, it's not like that. So, and when she came back.
They lose their house like if they were, what's that? Like when they owe somebody something and they have to pay and they would have to give their house up. I guess it would have been the only way they would have lost their house, because otherwise that would have been their house for like ever.
Like just like Naomi, she sold her house to Boaz. Unless that was a lie Boaz told the other kinsmen to deter him from taking the deal. Because nowhere in the book of Ruth do we see Naomi putting her house up for sale. Mm-hmm. But Boaz tells the other kinsmen that in chapter 4. I'm thinking, is he telling brother the truth? Or is he setting it up so that he'll say no and then he'll take the deal after? Because I thought the deal was only just Ruth. You know what I'm saying? Hey, hey Deb, you got my number 5?
Yep.
Numbers 5, 2. Numbers 5, 2, and 3.
Yep.
All right. Hey, Liv. Oh, 1 second. I'm sorry, Liv. I actually muted your mic because of background noise. If you want to unmute it, I'm not saying you have to. If you want to, you have the option to go down here to the microphone icon and click it, and that will unmute your mic. Okay. I don't want you to think we put you in a prison and I'm like you can't talk or like that. Okay. So I'm just letting you know.
No, my kids I got little bitty ones, 3 and 6, and they're everywhere. I'm hungry, want to play, everything. So good for the mute.
Okay, no problem. No problem. We in agreement. We don't want to court. Cool. All right.
Okay. Command the children of Israel that they put out of the camp every leper and everyone that has an issue, and whosoever is defiled by the.
Hey, Deb.
What?
Hold on a second. Is that the verse you just read?
Yeah, that's it. We're on number 9.
You told me 5 too. I thought it was 9.
You did. Exactly.
But
we were right.
No instructions.
That's right, Debbie. We too on that one.
Thank you, sweetheart.
So okay. So what verse was that? That was number 5.
Here. 9, 6.
9, 6. I'm looking for numbers 5, 2 through 4.
We
got
that one.
Huh?
You want me to do 9, 6 or 5, 2, and 4 again?
No. Okay. I'm confused. So what you just read was numbers 5, 2 through 4?
Yeah.
And that's about the leper and the person with the issue?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What happened to numbers 19, 11 to 22? Anybody read
those? You read those.
You read those.
Oh, I sure did.
Yeah,
oh my God. I'm so embarrassed. Okay, so numbers 9 to 6. Go ahead.
And there were, and there were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of a man, and they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and before Aaron on that day.
Right. Okay. So there were men who had come in contact with a dead body, and they were unclean because Passover must have fell in the period of their 7-day uncleanliness or 7-day purification. And I want you guys to know, in case you don't know, but this is a story that we keep following. We'll find out these guys went to Moses to address the issue. And he went to God, and and these guys actually came up with the idea, hey, well, can we have Passover next month at this time? And God agreed with them and made it a law that, you can have a second Passover if you are unclean, first Passover, or if you're in a faraway place or something like that. So because of these brothers right here, do we have 2 Passovers? I like to take my 2. I mean, actually we have 1, but there can be 2. I take 2 because I love Passover. Is my favorite holiday, a holy day. So I'll do that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right on. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it. And verse 4. Hey, Deb.
Yes.
How long we been going?
2 hours and 20 minutes.
God dang. We're going to run out of tape. Whatever. We're recording on the cloud, so it's all good. Oh, by the way, Liv, let you know, we're recording this, recording a video recording of this, and I'm going to upload it on YouTube. I'm going to upload it on Facebook, Instagram. What's the other one? Twitter. If I can do it on Snapchat, I'm going to do it on Snapchat because guess what? Because guess what? I own Snapchat. I am the CEO of Snapchat. I'm serious. I'm dead serious because I got 10 shares of stock in Snapchat. I'm serious. Anyway, so I gotta use my company to do what Anyway, and they took to themselves wives, women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the second was Ruth. And they lived there about 10 years. Right. So I don't have any scriptures for you guys to, for you ladies, I'm sorry, to look up. But I'm going to do my part because I got 2 scriptures to deal with. Genesis 19:37-38. Hi. Really? 37 through 38? Come on, man. That should have been a comma there, not a hyphen. And the firstborn bare a son, and he called his name Moab. And the same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son and called his name Ben-Ami. That's what it was. She called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. I'm bringing that up to mention the origins of the Moabites, since these women are of Moab. I felt it necessary to mention that. If you know of any scripture that would be suitable, by all means, the floor is yours. Deuteronomy 23:3. An Ammonite. Oh, we already read that. Okay. So we got that. We cool with that one. All right. So 5. Both Ma'alon and Chalion died. And the woman, and the woman was left of her husband and her 2 sons. All right. And so there's no brown reversed text to highlight any of these words here because I want to deal with widows, since she was made a widow by the death of her husband and 2 sons. All right. And so you all have a list of scriptures over there on the left under widows, and I will handle the major part of these in the middle, which means I'll be doing more reading. Exodus 22:2. You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. I believe that can make the difference in America if we honor those rules to have this level of respect for widows and fatherless children. And a fatherless child is what would also be considered an orphan. Okay. And Leviticus 21:14. A widow or a divorced woman or profane or an harlot, these shall not take. Okay. This is what okay. This is referring to the Levites. All right. Mm-hmm. A widow or divorced woman or profane or an harlot, these shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. So the Levite was only supposed to marry a Levite. That's why I say it was unlawful for that Levite to have a concubine, because a Levite female has no business being a concubine. And and also too, if a Levite daughter is found playing a whore, she needs to be burnt with fire. All right. I don't know how many people knew that, but just bring it up just in case. Let's see, a virgin of his own people. A Levite is supposed to marry a Levite wife. And so that gives me pause, though, said I. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I know that we start the New Testament off, at least from the book of Luke. Mm-hmm. It's the book of Luke, where Zechariah, John's or Yehochanan's father, John the baptizer, Yehochanan the immerser, his father, Zechariah, is a Levite.
And his wife is a Levite.
Right, that's right. So that should make his wife a Levite. And his John himself is a Levite, which is hardly ever brought up. I hardly ever hear that being brought up. John is a Levite.
Mary is cousin to Zechariah's wife, so that would make her a Levite.
I would think so too.
Right?
That's what I thought, because it should, especially you got all those eon of marrying within their own tribe and excluding other tribes. You would think that would be the case. But I know there was some fraternization during David's time when David, but I don't know if it was, I don't think it was sexual. But I know David himself took on, not only David, but there was someone else who took on the priesthood or the duties of the priesthood, that were exclusively for Levites. So it's hard to say, but that's what
the Maccabees did that too, because the Maccabees weren't they from the tribe of Judah, and they also took on the position of the Levites during the Maccabees era.
Right. Right. And then I know that the Romans, when they came in and took over Israel, they didn't care. They were known for setting up their own priests.
Yes.
And whoever had the most money, whoever had the most political clout or whatever, they could be priests. So
because Herod, whatever he is, the great Herod, he was also appointing Edomites as priests during his time.
Girl, you've been doing your studying. I'm telling you, I am so impressed. That's right. Yeah. Edomites. That's right. Yeah. So I'm just saying. I don't know. Well, no, it does say that Zechariah was of the order of the priests, and that during the time that he burned incense was his family's or his tribe's assigned time that we find in the book of Kings and Chronicles, where David set up this order that he set up a new order, because I believe Moses had another order before, but I forget. But yeah, so that's how we can find out when the Messiah was born. We find out when Zechariah had his family were obligated to burn the incense.
Well, we also can find out when they took place, because if you pay attention, I think it's in the book of Luke. I want to say it's in the book of Luke, where it says that the angel Gabriel was sent to Mary on the 7th month. On the 7th month. Yes, it does. So if you count, because she was 6 months, I'm sorry, I think he said 7 months, because it says at this time your cousin is Elizabeth is pregnant and she's 6 months pregnant. So you know that the angels, I guess it was during the 12 months.
Right.
Because she was already 6 months pregnant when Gabriel went to see Mary. So, yeah.
Yeah, but this way, because with that way kind of leaves a little bit of buffer of time. We don't really know, because we don't know if she went 8 months or 9 months or 10 months, whatever. But we can kind of narrow it down a little bit more using the Zechariah information, because we can deduce what month it was when his tribe or his family within the tribe had that duty based off of the schedule David had set up. And we know what month they had incense burning duty. And it was 2 times a year that each family was assigned to burn incense or do temple duty anyway. So that helps out a little bit too. I mean, it doesn't now help us narrow it down right to the date, but it helps us get the month right. A little bit. Yeah, that and then some more scriptures helped us get the month right, because I believe it's about a six months apart. So it could be either this month or it could be that month. But this month is in winter and that month is in summer or spring or something like that. Then when we read about the nativity scene, we find out it was not a winter-esque scene.
Yeah. Even if we just follow the book of Luke, and he's saying that even if we follow Luke, right? If we just follow the book of Luke, and it tells us, which I found that interesting, that the first thing that it says is that on the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to the city of Galilee to the Virgin Mary. That's like a big piece of information, because it was made sure for us to know that it was on the 6 months that this took place. So even if you do the calculations, what a lot of Christians don't understand, we're not following a Gregorian calendar in the Bible. We are following a Hebrew calendar. So even if you do the count, and from the 6th month that he visited Mary, and we assume that she was pregnant at that time, that would take you the 9 months to the Feast of Pentecost, which would then explain why when they got to Bethlehem or wherever she was that she gave birth, that there was no room for her, because that is one of the feasts that Israel was required to actually go to Jerusalem for the Most High. Because if you go to the book of Leviticus, it tells you that it's 3 times a year that they would go to Jerusalem, and that was for the Feast of Passover, the Feast of Pentecost, and the Feast of Tabernacle. So if we go with the story of Luke, it will put us on the Feast of Pentecost around that time that it will say that he was born.
No room in the inn. That's right. Exactly, because you converge, all the males of Israel have to converge in Israel these 3 times a year for those 3 holy days. That's why I say, anybody who says, I'm keeping Torah, you ain't keep. I'm like, brother, shut up. Please, let's not have this conversation. Because you ain't, I can name a list of laws, both arms long, you're not keeping. You're not keeping them. And you're fooling yourself if you think you're keeping them. First of all, never mind, I'm sorry. All right, Numbers 39. But every vow of a widow and her that is divorced, wherewith they have bound their souls shall stand against her. All right. This is part B of a law that says when a woman vows a vow, then she best to check with her husband who's going to approve of that vow. And if he approves, go for it. Just like Hannah. Hannah is Samuel's mother. Mm-hmm. And so Hannah had made some promises to God. And he was a wonderful husband. The brother said, do what seems right to you. That's all he said. All right. But there are some husbands that will probably say, nah, girl, you ain't gonna do nothing, or whatever, right? And then, and so this is saying that the widow who has no husbandry obligation, and the divorced woman, what they say, and when they make a vow, stands on his own and stands against them. And against them is not really against them, but it's like a way of saying they'll have to uphold it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, okay. Deuteronomy 10:18. He doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow. He does execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loveth the stranger. Ruth is a stranger, and giving him food and raiment. All right, so we were talking about the judges executing the judgment. It says he will execute the judgment for these. The fatherless. The fatherless to me is, fatherless is quite clear. I don't know, many people don't ever think about it in this term. Some people do, some people don't. But the single, what's it called? Okay, the single mom with her child. Let me put it that way. So the single mom with the child is the fatherless and the widow. Now, I know in certain instances, a woman, a single mother, has been referred to as a widow, even though the husband is alive and just considered dead, I guess. Or, and he executes the judgment of the fatherless. So it's a thing of where you have the police force, you have the judicial system that exacts the judgment on your behalf, but there are situations that God himself will make sure to execute. And that, just like when a person sows, the person also reaps. Just like that's taken care of without the police force or without the judge. Some of these things too, life, or let me just say, the spiritual side of life is making sure it keeps its side intact. And I hope I'm being understood. I hope I'm making sense. But yeah, if I know that if I walked up and smacked a widow, or let me say, I know that I walked up and stole some money out of a widow's purse, I may never get caught, but the cops maybe never be brought before the judge, nothing like that. But my life will get turned upside down by the Creator, I guess. I ain't never done it, so I don't have proof. But I do know proof that some people try to take advantage of my grandmother when she was a widow, and she found a way out of it, I guess. I might be trying to brown nose God by saying all this, but that's basically what it's saying. Have y'all found that Deuteronomy 14:29?
What does that?
Deuteronomy 14:29. It's right here. There's a list of scriptures over here to the left.
I know. So now you want it?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, that was you. That was you, Deb. I know you said that. I thought somebody else said that.
And the Levites, because he has no portion nor inheritance with you, and the strangers and the fatherless and the widows who are within your gates may come, eat, and be satisfied, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the works of your hand which you do.
All right. I don't even understand. Was you paying attention, Deb? That's sure enough, wasn't you?
I'm sorry?
Were you paying attention? What she was reading?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let me see. Because I was over here trying to figure out how to get. Because I thought, okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to look up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do, since we're already 2 hours into this, probably more, a lot more, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just, okay, let me put it this way. I'm not going to require you, I'm not going to say do all of those verses. Mm-hmm. This file is that file is yours to take and do what you want with it, okay? So you can have it even after you leave here. But I wanted us to have something we can interact with and share. So one person reads, another person reads, another person reads, and I could be the third person that reads. And so I was trying to get back to my Blue Letter Bible so I can look that up. But you already read it. So thank you. Appreciate it. Deuteronomy 20. I'm gonna go do Deuteronomy 26:12. Somebody else gonna have Deuteronomy 16.
Okay, I'll do 16. I'll do 16. 11. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, thou and thy son and thy daughter, and thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the Levite, and that is within thy gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow.
Oh, okay. No, you go ahead. I'm just saying, okay, my bad. Because now I understand what we're doing. I'm saying, okay, because it just hit me. Okay, now I know what we're doing.
Strangers and the fatherless and the widow that are among you in the place where the Lord thy God has chosen to place his name there.
Right. And were you done? I'm sorry. Were you done?
Yes, done.
Okay. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show the laws that actually give the widow privilege. That's what these focus on. And so the widow, what did the widow do? She, okay, so God's going to execute judgment on her behalf. And also she's given VIP status at the festivals, at the feast. Right. And, and also
part of the time.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say. I didn't put that. I don't think I put that in here, but I should have, because the tithe, portion of the tithe, is to be given on behalf of her welfare. Mm-hmm. And this is a woman who has been married, but no longer is. Mm-hmm. And so that aspect of her life is void, is vacant. And so what the mentality of the Israelite nation should be is that we come to the aid of our women. Mm-hmm. Right? So anybody who makes this out to be a chauvinistic religion is dead wrong, because it's not. I know some people don't consider religion, whatever. I don't have a problem with the word religion. So anyway, so we want our women taken care of, and we want to do the job. We are our brother's keeper. Mm-hmm. Our brother died. We are going to be his keeper and see to it that his family is taken care of, which is the purpose behind the Levirate marriage. Mm-hmm. That's what this book is about, the Levirate marriage, where if a woman is married to a man and that man dies and that man leaves this woman seedless, another man who is relative of that brother, shares some of the same DNA, come and have relation or marry this woman, and has offspring by her, and that firstborn offspring shall be
his. Right. Yeah.
Right. Now I'm gonna tell you something. I think about loopholes to laws all the time, but not for the purpose of getting away with the law, but where the law is not fortified. Now, this law, I don't know, because it's not detailed exactly as detailed as well as it could be. Because I don't know if, one, since we were just talking about kids, do I got to get my firstborn? What about the second one? What about the second? You know what? I love this first kid, but this second kid get on my daggone nerves. How about I give him over to my brother, and my brother can have him?
But on the book of Leviticus, I think it touches on that law. I think it's in the book of Leviticus or Deuteronomy, one of them. I think it touches on that law. So I think it says that it's like the first child is to like your brother because he didn't have no sin.
Right. And I guarantee you that those verses are going to be found in this Bible study, which is going to seem like it's going to have to go on again and again and again, Deb. All right? You ain't doing that on the Sabbath anyway, you know? Let's have some Bible study.
The perfect time.
That's perfect, huh?
Perfect time.
Yeah, I'm right. Exactly. Perfect time. So, and besides, I don't have to go to that class anymore on Friday.
Right.
I was going to a class for a job on Fridays, and that's why we couldn't do Fridays anymore. But I'm not doing that anymore. So, and besides, I was going, okay. And on dialysis, this is crazy because I was going to classes on Friday, then I had dialysis on Saturday. Now I don't have dialysis on Saturday anymore. I got Friday morning, so I can be free on Saturday. That's why we're doing this on Saturday. That's why I said it got to be done in a day. You know, whatever. But, right. Where was I? That's going to come up. That's going to come up Friday because in chapter 3 or 4, chapter 3 and 4, where it mentions the possibility of levirate marriage or the potential of levirate marriage in chapter 3, where it talks about the actual levirate marriage in chapter 4, I'm going to have some scriptures to identify what a levirate marriage is. So, yeah.
And in the Christian church, though, they just like the Levite priest, when the pastor dies, the church takes care of his wife.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
They sorta
yeah.
keep that law.
Go ahead.
No, finish. I'm done.
Okay, because the church, I'm not altogether happy with it, but I can't have nothing bad. Well, I do have something bad to say about it, but I don't hate the church because the church has helped and do help many, many people. And there's many, many people who would not get help if it was not for the church. You know, just like you got Hebrew Israelite sisters with a hand out for help to the United States government, how much more help from a fellow Abrahamic faither. I like to call them Abrahamic faithers because I guess they do what they can try to do thousands of years later after the original founders of this thing have passed. Things are going to change over given years. And even languages do so. Okay? So I understand that. But matter of fact, it was a church. I'm a single father, right? I'm a single dad. And it was one time I had 4 children. I don't have them now because 3 of them grew up. So I had 4 children and we were homeless. And it was a church that gave us shelter. I'll never forget. I'll forever be grateful. All right. So, yeah, true. And what was I doing? I was doing something before that. What was I doing, Dad?
I think you're just going on.
Yeah, you're just covering the one that she just read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just read something, Dad? What did you just read?
Mm-hmm.
What did you just read?
Did I read anything? Did I read
I'm
something?
sorry.
16 and 11. She just read 16 and 11.
Oh, I sure did. God bless you.
Okay.
I did.
Oh, thank you so much, Sonny. I appreciate it. If I wasn't sitting in this, I don't know how I'm still sitting in this chair. I'm so absent-minded today. I don't know what is going on. All right, so Deuteronomy 26 and did you read that? Deuteronomy 26 and 12?
Les.
Yes, that's what I just finished. I didn't do 12, but that's the one I read.
Which one you read?
I read 26.
Oh, did you read 16 and 11?
16:11. Yeah, you just read 16:11.
Yeah,
Okay. Whew.
Mercury retrograde. Okay, maybe it is.
Yeah, I know, right? Mercury retrograde. Oh man, I'm a dimwit today, bro. I'll tell you. But this, okay, Deuteronomy 26:12. when thou hast made an end of tithing all the tithes of thine increase, the third year. Okay, which is the year of tithing. The year of tithing is the third year. Yay! So now I can go to church and say, "Hey, brother, I'm not doing this every Sunday no more." Well, I'm going to go to church, but yeah. Which year of tithing, and have given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within thy gates and be filled, which is the purpose of the tithe. So, so they can eat and be filled, right? All right. And you got to think about it. The person that owns land, this brother is getting it. First of all, he has to give the tithes, and then he has to allow the widow to glean. The widow and some other people to glean out of his land. You gotta have a generous and loving heart, because you think about it. The people that she's going to go glean from are more than likely her own family members, because everybody of a tribe is family. They're genetically connected. In a tribe, and I think that's a perfect way to live, because I don't care nothing about these Mexican people that live up. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm just saying, I don't care nothing about these Mexican and Asian people that live up in my complex, even though my complex is 90%, 98% black. I don't care about what's going on in their household. They don't care about what's going on in mine. I don't want to look out for their welfare, because I'm assuming that, hey, if you ain't black, you got it made in this country, brother. So, but if I lived in a complex with my family, we would be very much concerned about everybody's welfare. We'd be making sure all of our kids are getting A's and B's in school, and if not, you're getting reprimanded by the elders, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to make sure my sister, wait a minute, you mean to tell me you ain't got no groceries? Hold up. Leroy, did you know she ain't got no, let's go over here, make a trip, load up the van, and bring the sister some groceries. That will be from the heart that's sincere, because this is family, I'm related to her. Even if she's from another tribe, she's still family. But see, here we live in this country where we live among other races that we're not related to. So we can't have that interpersonal relationship or desire or concern for them. I don't even know why I brought that up. But yeah, that was no offense. I'm not saying you're Mexican. I'm not saying that. Some people's like, oh, you don't talk about my Latino people. They ready to fight you behind that.
No.
Yeah, okay. And she rose and her two daughter-in-laws, and they returned out of the country of Moab, for she heard in the country of Moab that the Lord had visited his people to give him good. All right, so that was a sign for Naomi to go on back. We only came here because there was a famine in Jerusalem. The famine's over. Let's go back. That means there's been a visitation of the Lord. Exodus. Deb.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what time is it? How long have you been doing this?
It is now 5:00.
God, are you serious?
Oh yeah.
And what time will we start?
2.
2. Okay. That's not too bad.
Huh?
So let me ask you a question, Deb. Would you be cool with us finishing up here, or did you want to go on?
We should finish up and then continue it next Shabbat.
Okay. So I didn't want to keep going and violating the
You're not violating anything.
Hebrew Israelite. No, I'm concerned about people's time. I'm considerate of people's time. I don't want to take up. This is your Saturday. This is your rest day, and then I got y'all over here doing work. flipping back and forth through the Bible.
I mean, unless they want to take a break and then come back in a couple of hours and finish. I mean, it's up to you.
A couple of hours. I'm gonna tell you something, Deb. If I take a break for a couple of hours, it's gonna take a pack of wild horses.
Yeah, so we'll do this next Shabbat. We'll finish it up.
You sure? Maybe we'll.
You know that we're not going to be able to finish this the next time. So this is going to be like a week going in kind of study because we're breaking down stuff. So we like to talk. So
right. I just want to make sure it's stuff y'all want to break down. Because Bible studies is usually not in your control or person's control, unless you go to those Christian Bible studies and say, what would y'all like to talk about today? But no, that's not true because Hebrews do that too. What would y'all like to talk about today? And you guys have a discussion. And that's the only way you can really do it if you guys want to talk about it, unless you just got people that are just eager to learn.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I'm sorry?
I said, I hear you.
Is that,
She was agreeing with you.
Oh, who's she? Who?
Friday.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was you. Deb. So I was trying to make sure I heard what you said. And I'm gonna tell you something. All right. See, this is our first time doing it. It's kind of sloppy, right? That's okay. That's all right. But see, I'm the kind of guy. I do something, then the brain starts working nonstop. I figure out how to do that thing right. We should probably work out breaks. And have some praise, some Shabbat music. I know I like to have some Shabbat music. I know I'm a big Shabbat. And I can have snacks. I can.
Who will be eating those?
Me. I eat the snacks. But I'm saying we could, well, yeah, that's, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we all have snacks on our own, in our own environment. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I guess we can lunch. We can have an oneg. For those of you who don't know, I don't know how many people have actually been to a synagogue or to a Shabbat meeting with other, I like to say, messianics. Okay, because everybody don't consider themselves Israel, so I just like to respect everybody and say messianics. What happened was they would have the service, and then afterwards, they would have what's called oneg. Oneg is the Hebrew word for, I think, fellowship or eating, something like that. And they would eat a meal that all the women prepared beforehand and brought to the oneg. So it's like a big potluck. I miss that, man. I will tell you something. I've been thinking about going back to my Messianic congregation here in Maryland. Now that I'm back in Maryland, I had a Messianic congregation in D.C. called Ahavat Yeshua. And I'm thinking about going back there because I kind of missed the anyway, where was I, Deb? Oh, right here?
Snacks?
Huh? I'm telling you, though, wait a minute. No, don't sleep on these snacks, all right? They had some vegetarian, some vegetarian stuff. And oh my God. No, actually, I think I've been thinking about going back to them because I want to become a chaplain. And I know that one of the ways to become a chaplain is to get an endorsement by a congregation. Yeah. And since I don't belong to a body, I don't have a church or a body of Christ I belong to or whatever, I can go back there and ask Rabbi Mike if that nigga, excuse my language, that mofo's still alive, Hey, Rabbi Mike.
Much better.
He ain't like me that much. Huh? Mofo is better than nigga. That nigga. I wasn't going to finish. Okay. I wasn't going to say girl. I was going to say that nigga, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, Rabbi Mike, he might not be the rabbi anymore. That's why I love them. I love those people. They were kin to me, okay? That was 14 years ago. Wow. And I got to go back to see how they doing. All right. Anyway, I missed them. Levi 24:14. A widow or a divorce. What am I doing this for?
You've already done it.
This is a continue. Is it? Already did this?
Yeah. If you want to do 8 underneath.
I did widows. Uh-huh. I didn't do Exodus. I didn't do Exodus, though. Exodus is not in here. Give me 16.
Oh, I'm confused.
16. I'm confused.
We're
Okay,
okay,
where are the old people? Where are we? Didn't we?
No, let me tell you what I did. Originally, my notes for verse 4 was 2 pages long. And this is the second page. Oh, no. This is the second page. And I said, let me not do that because I don't want to bore the ladies. Let me put verse 6 here, and I messed it up. So that's good. It's okay. It's all right. It's all good. Growing pains, right? So it's like next week, I'll have a week to put this together instead of 3 days to put this together. And hopefully I need a proofreader too, Deb. I need a daggone proofreader. I keep doing this stuff myself. I am the typo bandit. I am the mistake prone bandit. Everything you can imagine. You know that? Right. Right on. So we got to do this.
8 though, and then
you got to help me help you out, huh?
I said you want to do 8 because that's really short.
Okay. 8. 8 what?
It says merciful.
Now, hold on. These scriptures, some of these scriptures ain't been done. I'm the kind of person.
6.
Huh?
We've done 6. So
We've done 6.
We read all of 6?
Mm-hmm. We did 6.
Yeah,
you
on
don't
6
have
now.
7. You don't have 7 on here. You skipped
So
from
the next
6
one's
to
8.
8.
Right. Because no. I told you there were some verses that I did not include in this one because we're not going to read the whole chapter all over again because we already read the chapter when we did the Bible book club thing. I was trying to give you guys.
Sadai is here as my backup because
I'm glad Sadai is here too.
I am so grateful. Thank you, Sadai.
Hey, stop trying to lead a rebellion against me, okay? It's all good. I'm on your side. Okay. All right. Anyway, a widow or divorced woman okay, we did that. But every vow. Okay, we did that. He does. Oh, we did all those. My
8.
God, what am I thinking?
Right
8.
there.
Okay, that's okay. We're gonna close at 8.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "Go now, return each to the house of her mother. The Lord deal mercifully with you, as have dealt with. As you have dealt mercifully with the dead. You have dealt with the dead. Oh boy, and me. All right. So Naomi is like, instead of some people say, hey, karma is going to take care of this for me, right? Karma is going to deal with this or whatever. A lot of us believe that karma is going to come to our aid on the good side. Like, hey, look, I gave that family that ain't had nothing to eat over there, I gave them a whole refrigerator full of groceries. I know the Lord got my back, And so this is what Naomi is petitioning or relying on, that God's faithfulness and mercifulness will be, they will be receivers of his mercy because they have been so merciful themselves with the dead. Anyway, Exodus 34:6. And the Lord passed by before him and proclaimed, the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth. This is an excerpt from the Lord, when God is going to make himself seen to Noah. I'm not doing Moses, yeah. Going to make himself seen to Moses. And he says, I'm going to pass, and front of you, you're going to see my hinder parts, and I'm going to proclaim my name in front of you. And this is the beginning of him proclaiming his name. People want to say, oh, his name is Ahia, or his name is Elohim, or they want to say all this stuff. This is what he said his name was, even different than Exodus 3, okay? Exodus 3. The Lord, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth. And this is pretty long. This is equivalent to the Muslims Al-Fatiha. They have what's called Al-Fatiha. It says, I can't remember it. God dang it, I forgot it. Anyway, it's similar to this. But I pray this every day. I pray this Exodus 36 through 8, I think, or 9, I can't remember, or 10. I pray that every day. I don't when I pray it, I have it on a tablet, so I don't have the verses right next to it. So that's why it's in paragraph form, et cetera, et cetera. All right, cool. I've kept you guys long enough. I'm so sorry that I kept you so long. But
no,
it's a good one. I said it was a good one this time.
It was. She said this time.
Yeah, I haven't had like 2 times. 2 sessions I missed it.
I agree. I think it's better when you all get involved. When I get to hear what you are having to say, your contributions, and everything like that. When I'm just talking myself, boring when I'm just talking. I get tired of hearing myself talk, right? But I love it when you guys are here. And since we've never done this before, we never had open forum before, and I love that. And my brain will be steadily at work trying to figure out ways to make this even better. Appreciate it. Hebrew for Christians. Bear with me 1 second. And we're going to do it again. We're going to do our Hebrew practicing. And maybe I should do that too, Deb, huh? You think? Maybe I should lead a class in Hebrew? Because I already told the ladies, I told them, listen, I can't teach Hebrew. Let me put it this way. I've taught my 4 kids Hebrew. They speak that stuff. They remember that stuff even to this day. All right. But the thing about it is, I don't really consider myself a teacher. I like to downplay it. I like to say, I ain't no teacher. But I know I can teach my butt off if given a chance. But as far as teaching somebody Hebrew, it's only how well you're going to learn it. I could teach my butt off in Hebrew. I could teach it to you and everything. And if you come away, I can't read. Because I had one female who I taught Hebrew to. She was part of the class. And she was like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Because the vowels, she got up until we got to the vowels. The vowels really threw her off. All right? Hold on, what's going on here? That's why, you know what? Okay, I'll just do it for next time. I'll just have it ready for next time. There's a intro blessing when you read the Torah, and then there's an outro blessing. But apparently, Chrome has a rogue extension that has downloaded somehow and not get me there. So again, I'll be prepared for it next time. This is kind of impromptu, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. Anytime we get together with a group of people who are enthusiastic about the Torah, and that's a guaranteed good time as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
All right. Any questions? Any comments? I don't want to shut it off before anybody has a chance.
No, we're good to next time.
Good?
Hold on.
All right.
Let me check with Liz. Hold on.
Who's Liz?
Liz is still on.
Oh, that's how you said live. I've been saying live.
Live.
Oh, okay. That's what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
She's right there. She looks like she's looking right at us.
Oh, okay. Is she speaking?
No, she muted herself.
Oh.
I'm unmuted now.
Oh, okay. Now I don't have to send you that. I was sending you the chat.
This is my baby.
Oh.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
She's not.
Oh, she's
everywhere. She has
Play-Doh
everywhere. She has Play-Doh now. She has a pencil. Get away from me, please. Thank you. so no. Hopefully next time I can be able to be a little bit more interactive. I always miss the class because I have always like a lot going on, and I never go back to the replay. So this time I said I'm just gonna log on and I'm not gonna say nothing. At least I'm in it, you know.
Right. Right. Exactly. And look, and Deb, I'm gonna tell you like this. You always make this about me. I'm not complaining. You always make this about me, but I want you to know that hey, I can be in the background too. You know, it just hey, we got a 3-hour Bible study tonight. We only gonna give Wandell 15 minutes. Okay? I don't like it's like I'm on a marquee billboard and I'm like, whoa, I don't deserve to be up there. You know what I'm saying? So I can contribute. I can have a class about something, and then you can have other sisters that like to talk. They can take over that time if you want to do it that way. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
It is totally up to the girls, but as far as I'm concerned, you're staying on the billboard. But if they want to talk about something else, they know they can come in and talk anytime they get ready. On another subject, if they want, that's cool.
Right. I don't want to be hogging all this camera time. That's all I'm saying.
I think the thing is, we get so involved in what you're talking about, so it makes no sense to move off somewhere else. So,
okay.
You guys agree with me?
Wendell, you know that when I get to talking, and then we ain't going to finish the class.
Right. And it doesn't make any sense to move to another subject, right,
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things I was thinking about when I said, let's do a Bible study, because they always had so much to say. Let's give her a place where she can speak freely, because she has some good stuff. Like she made some incredible contributions today, right? And she even helped me in a couple of places. So I appreciate that. Thumbs up.
Thank you.
All right. So, and I want to say this, Deb, that I still don't believe that I should hog up the whole time. But I'm saying we can split the time if you want to. If you guys have something, maybe I just said that already. I already said that. Never mind. You made your point clear. I got you. Point taken. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. Okay. If that's all, then, ladies, I have a fantastic Shabbat. Enjoy the rest of it.
Yeah, too.
Well,
yeah, next Sabbath.
I appreciate you. You too. Enjoy the rest of
it. Hey, nice meeting you, Liz. Gosh, you got me calling you Liz now. Liv. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nice for you to join the class. We need to get some more people in here.
Hopefully I'm able to join every week.
And we have this recorded, so even if you can't, you can always come by to check out what the nigga. Oh, I'm sorry. What were they talking about? Let me see what they talking about. We're talking about today. Whatever. Okay. So yeah.
Cool.
I gotta clean my mouth up.
So,
all right. Wash it out with soap.
No, it's okay.
All right.
Love you guys.
Love ya. Bye. See you next Sabbath.
Bye, baby. All righty. Now I gotta get ready for date night. I'm go for last night's date night. I got her. What's up, brother? How you doing? What's his name?
It's my husband, Cortez.
Cortez, what's up, brother? You see in the background. Cortez. We done. You can have it. No, we're done. He can have it back. Oh, she's off. I know he's like, man, what are you doing in here? Come on, girl. What's it, 3, 2? That's 3 hours. That's over 3 hours. I know it's longer than 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, now it is.
Yeah.
Where's my clock?
Huh?
I was looking for my clock.
Oh, I thought you said it was 6 o'clock. I'm like, no way. All right. Well, look, I'm going to try to find some dinner to make around here.
All right.
And get some grub, and I'll hit you up when, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Talk to you in a few.
Night, night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Man, that thing recorded the whole entire time.